This is Jolly Green.
Wait, that's me. I guess I'm Axis.
And I'm Water Elemental. Why can't I be cool?
You're boring is what you are. I hope someone hits you with a rake.
And we're talking about the champions for week 26, January 3rd, 2011. Wow, that's weird. 2011.
It's crazy. Starting off with Fiddlesticks, Lady Gragas, Katarina, Kog'Maw, Morgana, Ryze, Shen, Sivir, Taric, and Xin Zhao. Starting off this week with Fiddlesticks. He is a caster slash support. Not really that much of a support. He's more of a hardcore CC'er. He's very, very dedicated to his job. He is the best, or rather the only, jungling caster out there, or at least primary caster. Very, very effective in the casting role as far as jungling goes because of the way his Drain Life has worked. With the revamp and everything like that, he's just a great, great hero, especially getting that golem buff very early on. Now, I know Dragon has been buffed, so I'm not 100% sure if he can still do that level 2 solo on the Dragon. I will have to test it out, or if you guys have tried it yet, please let me know, because I want to know straight away, because that's one of my main strategies as Fiddlesticks, and I want to know straight up. But he's a very, very good ganker, especially if you have a very unaware team, or if you have teammates who are very good at baiting. You can pop out with that Crow Storm with your Fear. If you have a Lizard buff going on, you can set people up for very, very painful deaths involving, was it birds? Crows. Crow. And so, yeah, it hurts a lot. And really, you just have to watch out for that. If you're playing against him, just be mindful. Wards are a hard counter to Fiddlesticks. So if you're playing Fiddlesticks, and you think they have wards, just be tactical. Position yourself in different places, because you can use the blink with your Crow Storm to really set up some really crazy maneuvers. So just, if you think you're being countered with wards, just be creative with your blinks. Fear, 3-second CC. Low cooldown, especially with a good amount of CDR. It's a terrific asset. Because even with Mercury Treads, it's still knocked down. It's still almost a 2-second Fear. And
2 seconds is a lot when you're getting
quite a
punched in
lot.
the face.
Especially with champions like Xin Zhao and Shen this week. You can chain the taunts together and really just keep people where you want them. His Drain Life is great up until about level 7, up until the carries and casters start getting some real damage. You're not going to be able to outdo him with Drain a little bit past that, so don't think you can run up into the face of a melee and just be like, oh, I'm draining life. You're just going to die. So use Drain Life effectively, but don't think you're going to counter all damage with it. And of course, Dark Wind, awesome for team fights. It drains their confidence as the birds just bounces between them. They're like, shut up, you don't get to talk now, you're silenced. It's hysterical. But that's Fiddlesticks. Great jungler, great support, awesome damage early game. Kind of lacks a little bit late game, but he's still very fun to play. Gragas is a tank that we can build for HP, traditional tanking build, resistances. He is also good with AP. He's very deadly, especially if you've got a good aim for his barrels. You can put out a lot of damage with them very quickly. You can put out a lot of damage with Body Slam. And because of the way his passive and his mana back ability work, he has a lot of staying power in a lane, and after a team fight, he can get his HP back up and re-engage. He has an awesome ultimate. It breaks up, the entire team. It can toss those squishies towards you. It can push the tanks back. It really helps break things up when things are getting a bit too clustered or if they keep trying to retreat. So you just toss that in. Make sure you have good accuracy with that because, like all knockups, it can be very frustrating if instead of helping the team with it, you're hurting the team with it. Like, let's say with Tristana or Alistair, you're knocking them away. So be careful, but do use it if you can. Just don't be lame, is what I'm trying to say.
Katarina. She's a good melee DPS, and I like her mostly because she's versatile. You can build her a million different ways, and she'll still be effective. Lately, she's had a couple patches where they've nerfed her, then they buffed her, then they've been back and forth. I don't really know what they want to do with her, but lately, she's on the up end. Played a couple games with her recently, and she has gained effectiveness. I played her AP, and she was just really good at chasing people down, and in team fights, especially in 5s, her death rose is great for getting in there, death rosing, and yeah, they'll probably kill you, and you just did a bunch of damage to 5 different people. So, her bouncing blade is also great for pushing. It has a bunch of AoE for team fights, and yeah, her chase, great blink damage ability, and you can also use it on your own minions to escape if you really need to. Other than that, she's pretty good. She's not great, but I like her.
She will also be a great counter this week to Gragas, Taric, and Morgana because of the amount of healing they have on themselves. So you can counter that because of the reduced healing effectiveness on her bouncing blades. Next we have Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw is the tank killer, and he fits very well into that role. Unfortunately, because of the way his abilities scale, especially with Blood Razor, he's the everyone killer. He gets out of control very, very quickly. So, you want to be very careful with him. He's a target that's going to get focused down a lot. So if you're playing him, be sure you're rocking maybe a cleanse, a ghost, a flash, something to get you out of combat, because people want to kill you if you're playing Kog'Maw. They would just want you to die. Even though you can blow up, they still want you to die really bad. He is great at tank killing, of course. He scales very, very, very well with attack speed, a little bit of ability power. He's great for scouting. He's great for dodging ganks. He's got a reasonably good slow. Nothing great, but it's still very good. It's just power comes from his magic damage. And because of the way he scales, even if they counter your magic damage build with a lot of magic resistance, and they start to counter your magic with a lot of magic resistance, you can still build items like Malady or start building crit and attack speed, and all of a sudden magic resistance doesn't matter because you have so much attack speed and you're putting out so much damage. Just burn right through him. So Kog'Maw is a difficult champion to counter, but with enough damage he will die, and you just gotta juke his little Ithacan surprise and you're golden. But Kog'Maw, great champion, especially to counter the somewhat tanky fellas this week.
He's got a good slow. He's got a really good slow.
I'm not a big fan.
I like it. It's a good, if you time it right, they're slowed for a good amount.
Oh yeah, it's nice if you time it right, if you set it up at the proper angle, it can be very effective, especially as sort of that intimidation wall idea that I always talk about.
It's situation dependent.
Definitely.
Speaking of situation dependent, not this champion, Morgana. Like my segues?
No, it's terrible. What?
Morgana, great caster this week, one of the best supporting with her magic resistance bubble. Still really great. It does prevent damage from the new champion. I found that out the hard way. She has a great snare. She has a great AoE, as well as a great passive, which lets her gain spell vamp right out of the gate, which is a great thing early game, especially if you're very, very, very dependent on keeping in that lane for the farming. Her ultimate, like we always say, great for running in there, slowing everybody down, waiting for the stun, dealing a good amount of damage. Persist through death if you have a Guardian Angel or Zillin around.
Yeah, she's going to be great with her ult this week, especially if, say, you're rocking around with Shen or Fiddlesticks. They can keep them in place, they can keep them slowed, they can put out a lot of damage. So
even with the Taric around with the stun, if you can keep them there long enough for it to go off, it's a deal breaker.
Yeah, they're toast.
Next we have Ryze. Ryze is a great mid-range champion, kind of close range for a caster, but he can still bring in a lot of burst. He can hit a lot of targets in a small area. He has a bouncing blade type attack as well. He also has a snare. He also has a
ultimate, adds AoE and gives him ability power to all his moves. It's very, very deadly, especially if they're all kind of clustered around each other, which you can set up very well with Morgana's ult or with Shen this week. So just, look out for great opportunities, but don't be afraid to use it if you're just fighting one guy. You just pop him between you. That extra ability power is killer.
Next up, we have Shen. He's my absolute favorite character. I play him more than everything else, and that's just because he is a tank. Solid tank. His dash with a taunt, great. Solid tanking ability. Drag them down by a tower, or if they're tanking a tower and they don't notice you coming, you grab them and the tower will burn them down. His second ability is the shield that he does. It's just exactly what it says it does. You just hit it and it absorbs damage. Nothing more, nothing less. That's all you need out of it. His Vorpal Blade does a decent amount of damage early game, and it heals for enough. Like one-on-one, you put a Vorpal Blade on him, and you're probably going to outdo them on damage, and the healing will keep you alive. His ultimate ability, it pisses everyone off when you're having someone that's being chased on your team and they're about to be annihilated. You pop in there, you taunt, Vorpal Blade, your guy has enough time to either get out or finish off the guy that he was starting on in the first place. So his teleport has so many uses, and I just absolutely love Shen. Next up we have Sivir. Sivir. I hate pronouncing it.
Take a drink.
Yeah, take a drink. Wait, that's not in this episode, is it?
They watched it afterwards.
Oh, anyway.
Or do they? Ding, 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 ding.
Continuity.
Anyway, she has a bouncing blade ability, which makes her glaive that she throws increasingly hit more with level, more targets with level, and she's just a great pusher. Her spell shield is built in Banshee's Veil. It's really good at absorbing magic damage, and I haven't tested it yet to see whether it actually affects Caitlyn or not.
I believe it affects probably her traps and maybe the slow, but I know it gives mana back on both of those, at least, was what I've seen. I think it absorbs the damage as well.
So she'll on purposely want to step on traps to gain mana.
I doubt that's the case.
It's a risk.
But yeah, she's, again, a great pusher, which, yeah, her glaive that she throws as a skill shot back and forth, great for taking creeps down and unaware players. Yeah, she scales well with ability power, not so much attack speed, but I guess you can build her as a mix.
Next we have Taric. Taric is, a lot of people build him as a healer. He can be built as a great tank, especially since he has a great stun and a great AoE, and he can heal himself. But a lot of people don't consider him as a tank. He has a great heal, and every melee attack will reduce the cooldown of it, so it's great if you're soloing towers, and it's great if you're soloing someone, because you're getting the mana back, and you're reducing the cooldown of your heal, keeping you alive for the stun and the AoE. He's an Aura bot. You can build him as an Aura bot. That's mainly what a lot of people do as a healer. You get Frozen Heart, you get Aegis, you get pretty much anything that gives you any passive to anybody else. You even get, like, late game, some people even build, what is it?
Abyssal Scepter?
Abyssal Scepter and stuff, yes. Building all that just to keep the team alive. If he's around, you can tell the difference, especially in team fights, how he's keeping people alive and how he's stunning. If he's not stunning, he's not doing his job. He also puts out Radiance, his ultimate, which gives health per 5 at the cost of mana per 5 on himself. And he also does that with everybody around him, as well as attack boost and ability power boost. So he's great for support if you want to play good support this week, and he's a great tank if you want to try something new.
The Meow! Meow! Ow! Is a tanky DPS. A lot like Olaf. He's got a very, very effective diving ability. His lunge is terrific. I know a lot of people are a big fan of it. I personally am as well. It's a great initiating ability. His knockup is terrific. Lets him, have that sort of chasing ability, a little bit of attack speed. That just helps him, close the deal on enemies that are retreating or that are attacking him. Gives him that extra advantage. His ultimate is great for once he's charged in there. He can spin around, do his little slash. All of a sudden he's got a bunch of armor and HP and everyone's weakened just a bit. It's percentage based, so you will always get good returns on it, so long as their resistances aren't stacked to oblivion, which is sometimes the case, so be on the lookout for that. His shout gives him more attack speed and CDR, which lets you mix up his build a little bit in case you want to build one way or the other and you don't want to lose out on certain stats. So Xin Zhao overall, he's a great. He can be built DPS and be very, very effective, especially with Maldreds or in other attack speed items. But he can also be a very effective tank because of his knockup and the resistances on his ultimate, as well as the health returns he gets from his passive. So Xin Zhao, build the counter because you have a lot of options because of the passive things he gets due to his abilities. So just build the counter, if anything, and if they are not even paying attention to you, get that Maldred and start tearing people apart. And that's really it for Champions this week. Thank you for sticking with us. I know a lot of these shows don't get,
viewed
babes, but there are some chicks out there who love it because they like guys with bald heads. What are we talking about?
I don't know, and you're starting to scare me now.
Alright, I'm going to go away now. This is Axis.
And Water Elemental.
And Jelly Green.